transfer Sophie Agee to help them pick up their first win in the SEC.
Alabama team leader in kills, has almost double digits in almost every single match. Her head coach, Rashinda Reed, said she is our go-to hitter. She moves the ball around. She uplifts her team, and she brings that leadership to the Crimson Tide.
Sophie Agee, over the last 2 matches, has racked up 118 swings for Alabama. So here we go, the Tide and the Bulldogs in search of victory number 1 in conference play, and we are underway from Foster Auditorium. Diving for that one was Kaylee Keshak. And Georgia ends up with the first point of the match.
For Georgia, that's the ideal way to start the match out. A hard serve, get Alabama out of system, and ends up getting the point.
The serving for the Bulldogs, Clara Brower. The senior Tom Black calls the linchpin of the team. And Georgia out to the 2-0 lead. The Bulldogs led by Tom Black in his 8th season. Again, we mentioned Georgia coming off back-to-back trips to the NCAA postseason. The first time the Bulldogs have done that since the mid-90s. And that one sent over by Kayla Keshak. First point of the match for the Tide. There is Tom Black, seeing his team get a little bit healthier today. They entered this one with 5 players missing their last handful of matches. They do have Biana Moneke, the transfer from Texas A&M, back and ready to go, healthy enough to play in this one. Serving for the Tide is Callie Kiefer. There is Sophie Fisher, reigning SEC Player of the Year. Hammered off the block by Kaylee Palmer. Fisher taps it over. Look at the extension by Callie Kiefer. However, the point goes to Georgia.
Point worked out for Sophie Fisher, but it was a little confusion. The ball was set to her on the outside. It looked like she was coming through the middle, but that just shows you how she is playing all over, and she's really trying to step into every role.
Kaya Tyson coming off her first career start the other night against Auburn. That one sent home by Kaylee Palmer, the sophomore out of Ohio. In her 3rd year in charge of the Crimson Tide, Rashinda Reed, the former middle for the Georgia Bulldogs, looking for career victory number 30 with the Tide. Here is Sophie Agee serving, 12 aces on the season. Off the block, Estelle Hagen was denied.
Nice block for Alabama. If you're Georgia, you're a little disappointed. That block came down really slowly. There was enough time for a player to get that ball up and cover their hitter.
Agee with the serve. In the middle, Fisher with the point.
Fisher coming out for the 3. That's one of the many hits that she has in her pocket. Tom Black said she can hit from 5 different locations. Look out to the left right here. That makes sure that the blockers aren't on her perfectly, and she can move it to the left a little bit.
Tom Black saying she can do things offensively. A middle blocker just shouldn't be able to do at her size. Tremendous player. And the block by Cece Gooch, the sophomore for Georgia. There is Fisher denied.
Statement block from Alabama on Sophie Fisher, who is coming out from the right side, and it wasn't even a slide. Again, Sophie Fisher has now played the 4, the middle, and now the right side.
That was Paris Thompson, the senior transfer from Notre Dame. Francesca Bertucci with the serve. Flying in on the attack is Erica Lovett. Erica Lovett's been a huge addition for this team. Set a new Georgia record a couple of weeks ago with 33 kills in a match. Sophie Fisher serving. There's Thompson, that is in. Paris Thompson, the senior, active early for the Tide.
Paris Thompson, 2nd on the team in kills. For those at home, you can literally hear in the arena her slapping that ball. That's how strong she is. Rashinda Reed said she's really concentrated in the weight room this season.
Upped her numbers from an injury-plagued 2023 season with the Irish. While Natalie Rapetti serving. Another transfer for this Tide squad out of UC San Diego. Fisher taking something off of it. Didn't matter. Thompson was there. And that one past a diving Bertucci. And a point for Georgia.
Strong swing by Haugen. Again, Sophie Fisher not able to make that ball drop. The set was a little bit lower. Went to the outside. And Haugen made production happen.
And a Julia Bleeker serving. There's Thompson off the block. Setting it up in the middle for Gooch.
Jordan Towns did the footwork. Her arms are pressing, but they weren't closed. Middle of your screen. Watch this block. She was right there, did a good job of reading Gooch's arm, but not able to make sure her arm stayed still.
This injury-plagued Georgia squad has the service error there. All but 2 or 3 players have played out of position so far this year for Tom Black. McKenna Lim out for the season. And by the way, Kendall Kemp, a transfer from Auburn, ineligible to play this year. But again, the good news for the Bulldogs, Biana Moneke, the team leader in kills per set, is healthy and active today. Lindsey Brown serving. Off the block it goes by Lovett.
Great coverage.
And free ball for the Tide. Lovett with the block. Sliding over, not getting all of that one was Jordan Towns, the sophomore.
Jordan Towns not able to track that ball down, but that just shows you how hard it is to hit the slide. The set has to be perfect. You have to have connection with your setter. It just wasn't the right pass to run the slide off of.
Here's the senior out of Indiana, Bailey Cox. Became the 23rd member of the 1000 Dig Club at Georgia late last year. That one hammered into the net. Another attack error by the Tide. And this is a storyline Rashinda Reed told us really hurt them against Tennessee. They nearly pulled off the upset of what was a ranked Tennessee team, falling in 5. But too many self-enforced errors for the Crimson Tide. Sliding over on the attack. That time, Towns makes good.
Complete improvement for Jordan Towns. I like the fact that they went back to her for the slide again, showing I do trust you. That connection with her and Keyshawn is completely there.
Sophomore out of Georgia. Hurrying over was Brower. In the middle, that one too strong. Right. Touched hands, point Bulldogs. Georgia up by 3 here in set number 1.
And Erica Lovett took off way too early in that set. Clearly, Tom Black, it does not matter, but she has that hang time. Even when she's early, she almost freezes in the air and can still make a great hit happen.
Yeah, Erica Lovett had 52 swings in their last match against Auburn, but there's a service error by the Bulldogs. Tied within 2.
Fun set so far, going back and forth. No one really taking off on runs. And for Alabama, that's the key for their opponents, is they cannot let the person they're playing go on 5-point runs.
Callie Kiefer serving, the team leader in aces. Had 4 of them earlier this year in one match against Arizona. Bailey Cox up high for Fisher. That Tide block is there. However, yeah, Alabama gets the point. They're ready and waiting anytime Fisher attacks.
Alabama is all over Fisher right now, and the sets to her are not looking good. She's not looking bad. She's having good looks. But right now, the defense for Alabama at the front is all over her.
Right now, Fisher 2 kills on 6 attacks. A couple of attack errors. Lovett taps it over. Diving in to save it was Bertucci. Brower in the middle. Fisher once again. That Alabama block just waiting in the wings every time.
Great effort from Bertucci, making sure the ball is not only up, but right to target. But look at the hands when the block goes to Sophie Fisher. 6 hands against her. Triple block from Alabama.
Kiefer serving again. They can't get anything past that block right now. However, that one awkwardly handled by Kiefer. Georgia back up by 1.
Sophie Fisher able to make that slide. It dropped on Alabama's side. Nice footwork and using the advantage of that little hole in the block to go right through.
Sophie Fisher's great as she's been since she was focused on offense a little bit too much last year. Wants to get back to being a dominant defensive player this year. And the service ace there by Lovett.
And now with Lovett at the back row, watch out for the balls to go to her for that back row attack.
The grad transfer coming over from Tennessee. Lovett. That one just saved by Kiefer. Free ball for the Bulldogs.
It's a nice up.
Tapped over, diving in Kiefer. She's been everywhere early. One-handed Lovett, but the Tide still get the point. Back to a 1-point set.
Palmer going off the head of Sophie Fisher. That just shows you the block wasn't really closed over their head. I'm surprised that she was able to get through it. Great eyesight by her.
It'll be AG serving. Houston, Texas native. A tight opening set here in Tuscaloosa. That is in, Bulldogs by 2.
Fisher finding success on the 3. Kind of confusing Alabama. Will she go through the middle or the outside? She goes right in between, that perfect sweet spot where there's no blockers able to set up against her perfectly.
Fisher, match high 4 kills right now. The reigning SEC player of the year. And here is Biana Moneke, the team leader in kills per set. Healthy after missing the last 2 matches. This is her first SEC contest. That one absolutely swatted down off of Bertucci by Fisher, and she's starting to heat up.
When Fisher's riding the slide, all you can do is make sure you are stopped on your feet and your platform is facing target. Look how Bertucci broke her platform. That's what's going to make the ball shank.
And the points by Chase Campbell, 50-year senior.
Chase Campbell is such a physical middle. When she has a great set and you are paired up perfectly against the net with her, she's going to go right through your hands.
Francesca Bertucci, senior out of Chicago, former Mid-American Conference Defensive Player of the Year, swatted down by Paris Thompson.
That overpass is something you probably won't see Bailey Cox do again. When you are libero, you want a perfect pass every single time. You never want to be the reason your opponent gets a free point.
Thompson, former Florida Miss Volleyball, coming out of high school in Fort Myers a few years ago. Wow, reaching for that one, Bertucci. Pushed over and off the block by Cece Gooch.
Good call going off the hands by Cece Gooch, but that up from Bertucci was incredible.
Timeout here in Tuscaloosa. Bulldogs up by 2 early.
The Huddle. It's where...
Well, this is a series Georgia has dominated as of late, winning 11 of the last 12, including 6 in a row. The last time Alabama beat the Bulldogs here in Tuscaloosa, 2015, but it's a close one early, Shelby.
And it's just so fun to watch this series. And right now, Alabama's trying to take advantage of that Georgia little out of system. And they're running in different formations and rotations. But for Alabama, their key has not been letting Georgia go on runs so far.
Sophie Fisher, 5 kills in the opening set.
Great pass.
That one demolished by Jordan Towns.
Textbook play for Alabama, starting with the absorption of this 3-option pass that allows Kiefer to run her offense wherever she wants and run that fast tempo offense through Jordan Towns in the middle.
Right now, Alabama hitting 263, Georgia 261. Rapetti serving for the Tide. Fisher waits for it and missed there.
Fisher just struggling right now so far this first set. Again, that completely can turn around, but Alabama's really focusing on trying to shut her down, even on a triple block.
Does have a match high 5 kills, but hitting 091 at this point. Repetti. Brower. Off the block it goes. Bertucci's there. Sliding over Towns into the block. Punched up by Repetti. In the middle. Hammered home by Cece Gooch.
Cece Gooch, she can also make the shots that Sophie Fisher does. She goes out for the three through the hands of Alabama, and that just shows you how strong of a hitter she is. It's right here. The footwork, the arm swing, everything perfectly in sync for her.
Gooch, whose dad, grandfather, and great-grandfather all played football at the University of Texas, but Cece evidently chose Uga over Bevo and having an impact here in set number 1, but another service error. Number 3 of the set for Georgia. We are tied again, back and forth. Opening set. Lindsey Brown, freshman who came up big in the near upset of Tennessee the other night. 3 aces in that one. Here is Lovett. Digging that one out was Repetti. On the other side, Agee denied. Back to the transfer they go, and this time she delivers.
All-out swing on the outside, going straight through the hands of Georgia. It starts with that block, and again, the fact that Agee is able to have that vision and see that the block is late to close from Gooch.
Alabama with the 1-point lead. I love it. That one skims off of Brown. Tied again.
Erica Lovett is that outside that when you give her the ball, you're going to know it's a kill. And she's also that last resort player. She's that rock that when your team's down or going through a 4-point slump, you're going to try and give her the ball.
And the conference record's deceiving for both of these teams. They have played their opponents, some ranked opponents, awfully tough. But both looking for SEC win number 1. And tooling the block was Towns, the 6'6" sophomore out of Georgia.
Nice arm swing by Towns, but for Georgia, you got to get frustrated. You were perfectly lined up on that block. The problem was your arms were not reaching for that ball.
Right now, Georgia yet to register a block. Alabama with 3.5. Skying up for that one was Moneke. Biana Moneke coming over from Texas A&M, the team leader in kills per set. Missed the last couple of weeks, but looking good there.
Moneke is one of my favorite players to watch. She's so swift. It's like she's playing ballet. Her approach is so nice, but she still makes the ball drop hard.
Made the SEC all-freshman team last year with the Aggies. In the middle, mixing it up at the last second, and it worked. Chase Campbell with the left hand.
Alabama looks completely relaxed. They have completely put the pressure on Georgia, and they're making different shots happen. Chase Campbell, not the prettiest play, but hey, she doesn't care. She got the kill.
There's Kayla Keyshock. 137 aces during her time at Samford. Love it. Going up for that one. Again, the Bama block was there. Campbell. The dump attempt by Brower. Joust diving for it to keep it alive. What a rally here between the Bulldogs. And the time, Lovett nearly put it away. What a response by Brown, and Georgia's block led by Fisher finally ends the point.
Best play of the match so far. It's the defense. Alabama and Georgia making impossible ups happen. And this is a confidence booster for Sophie Fisher. Starts with that Bama dig. Incredible reach and read. And the fact that Sophie Fisher got this block on a huge play is going to go far for her confidence.
An intense atmosphere here in just the opening set between these two rivals. The service errors have played a big role early on. 4 for Georgia, none for Bama, and the Tide go back up. Here is Sophie Agee. Brower. In the middle, it's Fisher. Really. Power in Alabama. Now up by 2. What are the Tide doing differently here? What's made the difference in them going on this run late?
Alabama is really starting to camp out on Sophie Fisher, and I think that when you can bring down your opponent's go-to leader, that's going to help. But for Georgia, you don't want your best hitter to have a more off match, but when they are and your team is still doing well, that's what your team needs to know, is that you don't have to rely just on Sophie Fisher. Other teams, or excuse me, other players can step up and help.
We have these two rivals, and then don't forget on Thursday night, it's SEC soccer rivalry night. The Crimson Tide take on number 16 Auburn. That'll be at 7 Eastern, 6 Central. And then it's number 22 Texas taking on Oklahoma in the Red River Showdown. The SEC version now that those two teams are part of the conference, both right here on the SEC Network and the ESPN app. Let's talk about the reigning SEC Player of the Year, Sophie Fisher. A match-high 5 kills, but also 5 attack errors. What are you seeing out of her right now?
I see her getting blocks and a lot of attention on her by Alabama. And when you are as good as Sophie Fisher, you are going to get more attention. It's just like Texas outside Maddie Skinner. Her numbers may go down sometimes. That's because every team is going to focus on blocking her. And that's what's happening right now to Sophie Fisher. She's not really having the real estate that she usually does right now, and maybe having to throw more shots in that she wasn't earlier this set.
And one of the key members of the Georgia attack, Bianna Moneke, the team leader in kills percent. She is playing, but it is in a limited role, so Fisher having to pick up the slack. And Tom Black has said Sophie Fisher has more on her shoulders than any other middle blocker in the nation.
You will almost never see a middle blocker play 6 rotations because these are tall players. They are not meant to be playing defense in the back row. That's not mattering with her. She is so good at hitting from the back row. She's one of the only middles in the country that plays 6 rotations.
It's Alabama with the lead and looking for more out of the timeout. AG serving. That one over Fisher and deflected out of play. Georgia responds with a point, 1-point set. Estelle Haugen with the point, the junior out of Minnesota. Last couple of matches, there were only 9 healthy players for the Bulldogs. Look at Alabama, twice as many. Another service error, number 5 of the set.
When a set is this close and you have 5 service errors, that's the game changer right there. I would have to assume Tom Black will be talking about that after this first set, or even right this second.
But a timeout by Georgia, you have to expect Moneke a little bit rusty. I mean, to say they weren't sure she was going to play would be an understatement. They didn't even bring her jersey on this road trip. She's wearing a different jersey for this match, number 19 instead of her usual 13, playing for the first time in a couple of weeks. And trying to get going.
I like that Tom Black today told us before the match that we did not expect Moneke to play. We had to do a makeshift practice yesterday. We did different drills just for her, test her out, make sure she passed everything and she was good to go.
An injury-plagued Bulldogs team. 4 players out for this one. But you look at their recent losses in the SEC. Coming into this one, they had lost 6 sets in SEC play. All but one of those had been decided by 3 points or less.
And when you're losing sets that close, you have to look at the controllables, which the number one thing is serving. It's like a basketball free ball. It's all mental. Got to make sure it's over and in.
And for Rashinda Reed, her concern was service errors, attack errors, and such. They've been able to limit those so far today in this one. That's helped them get out to the lead.
The biggest thing for me watching Alabama right now is their body language. They're not looking stressed. They don't look down when Georgia gets a great kill or great block. And that is what's stopping the Bulldogs from going on run. Right now, Alabama is not letting Georgia put the pressure on them.
Again, they took a ranked Tennessee team at the time to 5 sets. Trying to close out set number 1 here in this matchup against Georgia. Serving is Francesca Bertucci. Brower setting up Fisher, who answers with the point as the Bulldogs needed that, pulling within one.
Fisher looking more relaxed, great footwork and connection on the slide with her setter. And now back to serving. Her team's going to need her to go on a run, and also watch out for those back row attacks or the Bics going to her.
Remember, she had 7 aces in a match earlier this year against Washington. There's Paris Thompson. Falling over for that one was Fisher. Haugen with the point, and we're tied again.
What a confident swing from Haugen. She was really far off the net. The block was there, but she saw the little bit of space between Bama's hands and the net and went right for it.
Read and React, hosted by Cole Kubelik and Roman Harper. Each week, they'll take a look back at the biggest plays, players, games from the weekend, everything. That'll be tomorrow night. Read and React at 7 Eastern, 6 Central, right here on the SEC Network. Let's read and react to Sophie Fisher. 6 kills, coming up with a crucial point a few moments ago, and just like that, we're tied.
And Sophie Fisher, she has a huge load for this Georgia team. Her head coach, Tom Black, said she is more physical than any middle in the country and has more burden to carry. She is hitting Bics, back row, 3 slides, and she's hitting from the outside and the right side. There's really not a spot on the court that Sophie Fisher is not hitting from. Put it into perspective. She is also playing back row. This hit right here is not something middles do. Middles are hidden positions. When a middle goes back row, they're out. They don't want to be exposed to their opponent when it comes to defense. She is staying in, and she is 6'5". She's playing defense from the back row. She's also hitting. She is doing something you will really never see a middle in D1 volleyball do.
Star player. She's taken 14 of their 36 swings so far. And now, after trailing by 2 a few moments ago, we'll come out of the timeout all tied up at 22 here in set number 1. Sophie Fisher, the tallest player Georgia's had her on their roster in at least a decade. A grad student standing at 6'5", trying to help her team grab the lead here late in set number 1. That one off Thompson, saved by AG. Free ball coming up for the Bulldogs. There is Fisher, too strong. Now she's arguing that it was touched. We'll see if we do have a challenge from Tom Black. And he'll back off. Point tied. Walk towards the green cards. I don't think so. Alabama back up by 1. Serving is Kaylee Palmer. Haugen off Palmer. And we're tied again.
And Palmer read the ball correctly going down that line shot. Her base was stopped. The issue was her arms. She broke her platform and swung it to the right at the last second. Got to try and absorb the ball, make sure it goes straight at target.
Anna Julia Bleeker, sophomore out of Windermere, Florida, serving, tied at 23. Paris Thompson on the attack, just saving it at the last moment was Repetti.
Great coverage.
Love it, flying in. Here comes Georgia, and Love it terminates. Set point on the way for the Bulldogs.
If you blink, you're gonna miss not just the swing, but the approach from Lovett. That's how fast and athletic of an outside she is. And that's what allows her setters to give her really low sets. Expose how fast she is. Swing that arm swing really fast. Left of your screen. Look how fast her feet are going, her arms, everything perfectly in sync.
I mean, it was really a 2-person show in their last match, much like it is right now for the Bulldogs. Lovett and Fisher combined for nearly 70% of their swings in the previous contest. So far today, they have combined for 26 of Georgia's 40 swings.
And looking at Lovett only having 4 kills, that's not that many, but she brings the energy. It feels like it's more for her team.
A transfer from Tennessee. Georgia's jumped in front in hitting percentage, overcoming the 5 service errors right now. But Tom Black said when he met with Erica Lovett, when he found out she was going to be in the portal, wasn't sure what to think. He said she walked in a little late, had a boot on her foot, was wondering what was going on, but they hit it off. And he said she just has a brilliant volleyball mind, could be an excellent coach someday down the road if she wanted to be.
I loved hearing the story of Tom Black and Erica Lovett meeting and them walking in with the boot and not having addressed it beforehand. It still didn't until Tom Black did, and she said, oh, coach, I'll be fine. Don't worry about it. And he said, and after they had a first conversation, he said, oh, I get it. I need this player on my team.
It brings a lot of energy to this team and a great volleyball IQ. So set point coming up for the Bulldogs. Bleeker serving. Petty directing traffic. Thompson too strong, and the Bulldogs take the opening set 25-23, but not quite just yet, as Rashinda Reed has reached for the green card, and we will have a challenge to save this set potentially for Alabama.
Original call on the floor is point to Georgia. Alabama is challenging that the ball was in.
I personally thought that ball was out, but Paris Thompson, the outside who took that swing, immediately looked to Rashinda Jones and said, take the challenge, please, coach. That ball was in. Reed, excuse me.
You know, it's worth a shot, even if it is potentially out, considering that could determine the set right there. So we saw it right in front of us, reach towards it, and now we'll get another look at it.
And again, it's, that is very close. And it's often that players will be the ones to ask their coach, please take the challenge. It's not abnormal that the coach will have no idea, but listen, and Paris Thompson was positive that ball was in.
That's a close call from that angle. And again, like we said, if you're Reed, why not take a chance and offer up the challenge? Otherwise, the set is over in favor of Georgia. And we'll continue to look at that one again. Both of these teams looking to pick up conference win number 1 in the SEC. Alabama at 8-5, Georgia with 6-6. But you see the Alabama players there on the sidelines, loose and relaxed. You mentioned it right off the jump.
Upon review, the ball is confirmed out. Point and set go to Georgia.
There you go, challenge lost. The ruling stands, the ball is out, and the Bulldogs take the opening set 25-23 here in Tuscaloosa. Sophie Fisher leading the way with 6 kills. We'll be back from Foster Auditorium.
Some people just know they can save hundreds on car insurance.
To help those affected by Hurricane Helene, please donate at redcross.org/ESPN to help the Red Cross respond and help people recover. And be sure to watch special editions of ABC's Good Morning America tomorrow and Tuesday as they spotlight communities across the Southeast impacted by Hurricane Helene, as well as their recovery efforts after that devastating storm. And hopefully we can offer you a few hours of little escape here from Tuscaloosa as the Georgia Bulldogs and Alabama Crimson Tide square off. Get ready for set number 2 here. Georgia taking the opening set, a back and forth opening frame, 25-23. Both of these teams in search of their first win of the year against a power conference school.
And for Georgia, we talked about how this is kind of a new team almost every match. Everyone but 2 players are playing different positions at some point in the match. So it's been hard for Tom Black to find consistency. For Rashinda Reed, her team is still gathering their culture. She's still early in her career at Alabama, getting all her own recruits. And they've shown huge spurts. The issue with them is just finishing the set. The talent is absolutely there, and they're really enjoying being tested. She said, I recruit for the players that can shine the brightest under the biggest of lights.
Again, the former Georgia Bulldog, Rashinda Reed, trying to take down her old team, but it's Sophie Fisher and the Bulldogs up by 1 in that first set. Georgia hit 275. Alabama hit 182. Now, keep in mind, Alabama was dominating at the net early on with their blocks. They had 4.5 blocks in that opening set, a number of them against Sophie Fisher, but eventually Fisher and the Bulldogs found a way to break through.
Alabama played really well. They looked like the pressure was not put on them, and that's something that I think they struggle with this year. I'm excited for the second set.
It'll be Jordan Towns serving for the Crimson Tide, and it begins with a service error. That's the first of the match for Alabama.
And for Towns, just got to forget about it. Be a goldfish. When these errors are made, move on to the next pass as much as possible. And it's hard when you rotate out, but you got to get ready to go back in.
Did you come up with that?
No, the goldfish. Maybe I was told it before as a player. Maybe not. I will not deny or confirm.
Georgia returns the favor with a service error of their own.
And it's so important in any sports to have that fast memory, but especially in volleyball, you have so many chances. Like softball, you're waiting a long time so you never at bat. In volleyball, that ball can come right back to you.
Here is Callie Kiefer. Team high 16 aces on the year. Alabama still in search of their first of the day. Brower setting up, love it. Got all of that one, but digging it out was Brown, and that is in. Point Bama.
Perfect spot by Sophie Agee, right in the corner of the court, making it so hard for the wings to cut this ball off. Look where the ball lands. Bailey Cox trying to read her arm swing, but not able to get there in time.
Sophie Agee, only 2 kills today, but has been averaging nearly 20 kills per match in SEC play. Love it. Tooling the block.
It's just so crazy watching Lovett's hang time. She takes her approach, and it's like they press pause. She just hangs in the air waiting for the ball, and that's what makes her able to go off Alabama's fingertips at the last second.
Well, she's up there so long, can decide exactly where to place it. Hitting 385 so far. Nearly got the ace. Sliding in was Cox. Fisher with the point.
There's that three that Sophie Fisher has gotten so good at. Again, Tom Black saying she is hitting all over the floor. And right here on this set, it's able to take the attention off of her running through the middle and more on the outside.
Well, Sophie Fisher only played in 18 matches in her first 2 years at Kentucky. But it's obviously has had a monster end to her career at Georgia. And take it over here early in set number 2.
Suffocating block from Sophie Fisher, landing in the face of Alabama. That's why it's so important. You got to make sure that you are reading the play in front of you and the opponent across the net.
Georgia going on a run with Lovett serving. Again, a near ace for the transfer. Hagen off the block. Bertucci diving in there. Tapped over. And had no shot against Fisher. Try it again. Diving was Brower. And Alabama gets the point.
If Tyson had gotten that ball and kept it in play, that would have been a highlight right there. You would have seen it on your phone, on Instagram. Great effort. You never know when that's going to work out.
A sophomore out of Ontario, Canada. But it's Alabama with the point and Agee serving. And there is ace number 1 on the day for the Crimson Tide, and it ties it at 4.
Sophie Agee so confident from the service line, going right for that hard line shot. If I was her, I'm going to go right back that same spot.
See if she does here with Bama trying to take the lead early in set number 2. Brower. That one off the block by Kaya Tyson.
And Tyson's the backup setter, now playing opposite and completely embracing the role. And that must make her comfortable on the right side. So she's usually there at the net.
They got the start, first career start in her last match. And as you said, that came at the opposite. Here is Biana Moneke. Hammered off of her by Chase Campbell, the senior out of St. Petersburg, Florida.
Campbell going right for Moneke, and Moneke just putting her hands in front of her face because that's how hard Campbell is swinging. Her shoulder, her arm swing, everything following through perfectly.
Moneke coming off that knee injury, just playing sporadically today. Here and there, we're tied again. CC Gooch untying it for the Bulldogs. Well, originally Georgia thought they had the point. So we do have a challenge.
Call on the floor is out. Georgia is challenging that there was a touch on the attack.
Yeah, so the call was out, point Alabama. Tom Black will challenge that.
Good call from Tom Black. I didn't even think for a second that ball was out. I looked at my notes to see who said who because I thought Georgia had the ball. That was a great shot going for the fingertips. In my opinion, that was clearly Georgia's point.
Tom Black said he's been inspired by how his team has competed. And you look, they're 0-2 in conference play. He said, listen, it's been utter chaos. You have only 2 or 3 players playing their normal positions. Everything is out of whack. Even though Moneke's back today, she's not playing a lot.
The call, after review, the call is going to be reversed. It's going to be point Georgia.
Well, usually when a review is that quick, it means the call stands. Not the case here.
That's why I was so surprised to see the ball called for Alabama. But again, it happens, and that's why we have multiple judges and technology. And I love the fact we can hear directly this season from the refs. There's no question for the viewers at home what the challenge is. We know in real time.
Tom Black wins the challenge. Georgia wins the point, and they're up by 1. Sophie Fisher serving for the Bulldogs. 7 kills to lead the way so far today. Catches the tape and the ace for the senior.
Oh, everyone loves a good net ace, including Sophie Fisher. And this was a nice float serve. She was already trying to make it drop, but it got lucky and dropped at the perfect time right on the net.
All smiles, the senior out of South Carolina. 3 aces on the day for the Bulldogs. Now up by 2. Off the block and answering for the point, Kaylee Palmer.
Kaylee Palmer has had such big swings this match, and she really takes her time with her approach and her arm swing, but her specialty is the power. She is hitting hard.
We talk about injuries. She's made just her 2nd start of the season today after dealing with an injury throughout non-conference play. Off the Repetti serve, here is Hagen tooling the block.
Perfect play top to bottom for Georgia, starting with that 3-option pass from Bailey Cox. And Haugen literally flying in the air and making the decision, I'm going to go off Keyshock's hands on purpose and get that tool.
In this set, Georgia hitting 7-14 and up by 2. And the dump there caught Georgia off guard. Kayla Keyshock, the senior out of Alabama.
Keyshock's getting more offensive this season. She's comfortable throwing shots, especially on these tight passes. And you can see in her peripheral, she is reading the defense of Georgia. So she's doing 2 things, trying to see who can I set and also, hey, can I even score?
Alabama native, but spent most of her career playing for Samford. More than 2,700 career assists for the Bulldogs. But a service error by the Tide. Moneke, meanwhile, comes back in the match for Georgia. There is Bailey Cox. Tom Black said she's the type of player, if you ask her to go through a wall, she'll look at it as a privilege. Just an absolute warrior for the Bulldogs throughout her career. That one past a diving Bailey Cox. Nobody could get there. 1-point set. The offense has picked up a little bit here in set number 2.
Both teams doing a really good job at making the ball hit the floor. Not as many digs. That's just because the offense is going off right now.
Towns serving. Fisher just taps it over. In the middle, Campbell. Fisher was there. The play is stopped and the point goes to Alabama.
Hard call for Georgia being called in the net, especially when Sophie Fisher gets a dig. Again, 6'5", middle blocker in the back row, getting the dig, but the front row just not able to do their job.
Tied at 9. Here comes Lovett. Campbell was there, kept alive by Cox, and Alabama jumps in front by 1.
Chase Campbell making the easy decision to swipe at that ball, battle at at the net over and over. Georgia not able to keep the ball on their side, and Chase Campbell making them be punished.
Campbell's had a strong career with the Tide, team leader in blocks and hitting percentage. Here is Lovett, too far. And Georgia once again arguing that one, and Tom Black immediately, before he could even finish the sentence, will challenge that one. And he looks frustrated again, having to use a challenge in that situation.
Original point call is a point to Alabama. Georgia is challenging that there was a touch on the play.
Unlike this play, I did not see the touch that I saw in the first one. And I do like the fact that Tom Black is so confident in the challenges. For the coaches, it's like a game of their own. If they call a challenge and get to keep it, they don't lose that challenge. They get to keep their 2 for the match as it goes on. But right here, oh, I mean, it doesn't look, oh, it's not close. But again, when you're Maneke and you are hitting that hard and that fast, it does make it difficult to see if there is a touch on your ball. But it doesn't look like there's any need for this to not go Alabama's way. And again, you see how late Chase Campbell was to the ball. Clearly Maneke was trying to hit that spot since the block was not closed. If she would have just snapped her wrist a little bit, that would have been a kill you couldn't doubt on. Oh, excuse me. Maybe it's the...
I had a feeling there was a back end of that play because Tom Black and the players were extremely confident that they were going to get this and frustrated.
Maybe if we see it fast, if we watch it fast, we could see the ball spin a little bit after the touch. Okay, so we're thinking it might be the dig that touched this ball.
Yeah, because at the net, obviously, you can see it wasn't close, but that's a little different.
Yes, the net, there was no touch in my opinion. Let's see this back row. If this Alabama player did touch the ball.
And that is Lindsey Brown back there.
I don't think Brown touched the ball. Again, they say it doesn't matter what I think, apparently, but in my opinion, I don't think she touched the ball. I do think it was close and potentially worth the challenge.
After review, there was a touch on Alabama.
Like
Georgia will get the point and retain their challenge.
All right, well, I'm 1 for 1.
Well, Tom Black, again, hopped up out of his chair immediately, and he will win another challenge.
Nice eyes. Nice vision, Coach Tom Black.
You know, it was Rashinda Reed who was making all the right calls a couple matches ago against Tennessee when she won 5 challenges in that one. So far, Tom Black looking pretty good here, winning another for the Bulldogs. And surprise, surprise, we're tied again for the 17th time in this match. That one passed Bailey Cox, and the point for Alabama, courtesy of Sophia Agee.
Sophie Agee finding the hands of the Georgia block and Bailey Cox in the back row, beating out 3 defensive players, 2 at the front, 1 at the back. That just shows you she's so good at placing the ball.
Agee tied for the team lead with 5 kills, hitting .400. Here's Callie Kiefer. Brower. Fisher sliding over between 2 members of the Crimson Tide.
Perfect connection with Brower and Fisher. The footwork, it could not be any better. The arm swing, just textbook play for Georgia's offense.
Well, Sophie Fisher actually played outside hitter at Kentucky and in high school. But Tom Black said, I think you could flourish at middle blocker. Boy, was he right. However, his squad with the service error. That's
not an easy change for Sophie Fisher. In my opinion, middle blocker is, besides setter, the hardest position to play in volleyball. You are having to cover 3 hitters at the front row. You're playing against the entire net. It's difficult to adjust to.
1 point set after the 7th service error by the Bulldogs. That one swatted down, but out.
Georgia's shocked that they did not get that ball. They thought Palmer was going to make them eat this ball. Palmer going up, having this huge swing, but not able to make it just go in the court. Ugh, Palmer has to be mad about that one.
Another tie. Here is Moneke. Dad was a former Texas basketball standout. Gabe Moneke with the Texas Longhorns. Point for Alabama.
I like the fact that Palmer gets redemption from that error, and she didn't go for that tip or roll shot. She trusts her heavy hitting swing and gets that point.
Francesca Bertucci. Here is Sophie Fisher. Diving for it. No, Bertucci just let it go and realized wasn't going to be able to get there, and tied again. Sophie Fisher with kill number 9 on the day.
An awkward set for Sophie Fisher. It was over her shoulder, kind of having to drop her left shoulder really high to get the ball, but still placed it perfectly.
And Fisher serving. That one hammered.
Oftentimes, outside hitters will hit high to try and get the touch, and Alabama has continuously hit out, then put their hands in the air. At this point, go back, keep your snap, and keep the ball in. Once you get better at that, then go back to trying to get the fingertips.
Now, Thompson started off the day hot with a couple of kills early, missed there. And finally, Alabama answers thanks to Palmer.
That's the snap from Palmer I was just talking about. Right now, she's not trying to be fancy and touch the fingertips of Georgia. She's trying to put that ball straight down.
Here's Natalie Rapetti serving second on the team in aces. And one of the best liberos in UC San Diego history. Suiting up for the Crimson Tide. Hagen, that one skims off of Agee, and the point for Georgia, up by 1. And we'll take a timeout here in Tuscaloosa. Another close set between the Tide and the Bulldogs from Foster.
Some people just know they could save hundreds on car insurance.
This is college volleyball!
You got to show up every match.
On ESPN, baby! Give it to me!
Got a big match coming up on ESPN next Sunday, 1 p.m. Eastern, Texas and Kentucky. Both of those teams coming off sweeps earlier today. Meanwhile, here in Tuscaloosa, Georgia taking the first set. But how about Rashinda Reed's Alabama squad in the second set so far in SEC play? Look at the huge jump in the hitting percentage. What do you think is the biggest reason why for that offensive improvement, Shelby?
Well, for Alabama, of course, you want to have a better first hitting percentage, but the second set shows you that they are learning. They're taking in what the coaches are telling them from the first set, like watching tape immediately almost, and fixing and making adjustments in real time in the second set.
But they are hitting 471 in this second set, a big improvement from the opening set. Paris Thompson tools the block.
And Thompson so far off the net, but still able to have a huge swing. That shows you how confident of a hitter she is. Most hitters might take that roll or tip deep, not her. She goes with the same arm swing.
20th tie of the day. Lindsey Brown, the freshman, serving for Alabama. That one off Haugen. But had to wait for it. Free ball now for the Crimson Tide. In the middle, Towns puts it away. Alabama up by 1.
Jordan Towns doing her job perfectly, which is put the ball away after getting a free ball. That allows Alabama's offense to completely open up, Georgia not being able to decide who's getting the set.
You talk about two towering middle blockers, the 6'6" sophomore Jordan Towns and the 6'5" senior Sophie Fisher. There's a service error for Alabama. Surprise, surprise. Another tie. Here is Bailey Cox. And the senior libero has been an extremely uplifting presence on this Georgia team throughout her 4-year tenure. Too strong.
And that was a good swing from Alabama. There's different errors your coach will take, not in the net or your body in the net, but if you're swinging purposefully for that deep corner and you barely miss it, that's a simple adjustment, and your coach is going to be okay with that.
Georgia's hitting nearly 700 in this set. Towns again putting one away.
This pass could not be any tighter for Kayla Keyshock. I thought she was going to dump the ball, but she takes this as a chance to go right to her middle, and that just shows you how connected she is to Jordan Towns.
Towns tied for the team lead in kills and hitting .444. But the service error.
It's not just a free point for Georgia when Alabama serves in the net after getting a huge play, but it's that momentum breaker. Alabama had such an awesome play, then the ball goes right into the net and just kind of gives Georgia not only a point, but all the momentum going.
Saved by Rapetti over at the bench. That one destroyed, but a little bit too much on it. No, point Georgia. That was touched. Well, the Alabama players looking around in confusion, wanting the challenge. Rashinda Reed reached for the green card.
Rashinda Reed thought this ball was out. She looked at the up ref and even did the out sign. I don't think she thinks the ball was touched. She thought it was out.
Point Georgia, Bulldogs by 2. No challenge, Alabama answers.
Sophie Fisher came down wrong from that block. Looks like she's in a little bit of pain.
And you can see that look on her face, knows something isn't right.
And you see her shoulder taped. You see the cupping bruises. Maybe she is dealing with something that we're not even fully aware of. She does have a heavy load, especially as a middle blocker. That can really take wear on your body, especially when it comes to conference play.
You talk about a team that can't afford to lose any more players due to injury. Meanwhile, there was another service error by the Tide. Georgia up by 2 with Lovett serving. Tap behind. A free ball for Georgia. However, Agee was there on the defensive end for Alabama.
Statement block from Alabama. Perfect job at reading Kaya Thompson's arm swing and deciding to take away that cross shot. Great connection from the middle and outside.
Agee serving. 6 kills on the day to go with a couple of blocks. Brower setting it up for Haugen. Bertucci. Here's Paris Thompson right into the block. Bobbled around, going to the floor. Hard was Brower. Gets up quickly. Back to Thompson they go. Great effort by Lovett, but couldn't save it.
Good effort by Lovett, but Paris Thompson did such a good job at making that ball drop. Kind of a hybrid swing, not a full hit, but also not a roll. Made it go really deep with a lot of spin right towards the back.
Timeout by Tom Black and the Bulldogs earlier today in SEC action. Kentucky doing battle against Missouri, the 13th ranked Wildcats. Coming up this sweep, thanks in large part to the play of Megan Wilson. 10 kills, 11 blocks, 4 blocks there at 316, 4 digs as well, as the Wildcats made quick work of the Tigers. And meanwhile, how about the defending back-to-back national champions, the 7th-ranked Longhorns taking on a ranked Florida team, Madison Skinner, on the National Player of the Year watch list. She came up with 12 kills in the victory.
And I'm so excited to watch Skinner play her former team. She absolutely went off today against Florida, looking like her old self again. You have a lot of attention when you're the player of the year. The blockers are cheating towards you. The defense is cheating towards you, but she's able to overcome it. And it's going to be so fun watching her and her also pin hitter, Reagan Rutherford, play their former team of Kentucky. And right now, this is Emma Groden's team for Kentucky, watching her literally grow up as a young setter, now be the leader for the Wildcats. It's going to be an awesome match to watch.
Absolutely. A week from today, 1 p.m. Eastern on ESPN against Sunday, October 13th. Meanwhile, in this one, what do we make of this match so far? 2 extremely close sets up to this point.
The best kind of matches and sets are the ones where you have absolutely no idea what's going to happen, who's going to win it. Right now, both teams are relentless. They are throwing punch to bunch, giving answers immediately to each other.
Both teams hitting 500 or better in this second set. AG serving. Brower, Sophie Fisher off the block. Bertucci, Paris Thompson, absolutely not.
That's a hard block to get past with Tyson and Fisher right to your screen. Tyson still moving in the air, but able to make her hands stay focused on the ball. Great blocking effort from the person who came here to be a setter.
Second block of the contest. Back in the match is Biana Moneke, the sophomore out of Cypress, Texas. And now Alabama will call a timeout as we get closer and closer towards the end of this second set. Well, don't forget, Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern, right here on the SEC Network, we'll have our latest episode of True South. John T. Edge travels to Little Rock, Arkansas to meet a local icon and eat a few enchiladas, drink a few micheladas, and try out some homemade watermelon ice cream. Going to be another great show again Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern, right here on the SEC Network. As for the rating SEC Player of the Year, what has Sophie Fisher been up to today? Well, she's got a team-high 9 kills to go with a couple of blocks and an ace so far.
Georgia middle blocker Sophie Fisher is showing what she can do from all 6 rotations on the court. She's getting back row attacks, a lot of threes, and she is having a lot of swings too. Again, Tom Black said that she is the middle blocker in the country with the heaviest load, and I fully believe that. And even right now, we are seeing her get digs. You do not see a 6'5" player get digs, but she's not only tall, she's also equally as athletic. She's really doing a great job at reading Alabama's offense, not only when she's a blocker, but when she's defending in the back row as well.
Again, it's hard to believe she only played 18 matches her first 2 years. And a great story of a player who went into the portal, and it was a life-changing event, a career-changing event, absolutely flourishing in Athens with the Bulldogs. SEC Player of the Year, now on the National Player of the Year watch list. Meanwhile, today in the match here in Tuscaloosa, up by 1 and looking for more here in the second set. Palmer off the block.
Keep feeding Kaylee Palmer on the right side. She is going all over the place, and right now she's not reverting to tips or rolls. She is going straight for the hands with power from Georgia.
Here's Bertucci serving. Pushed over, sliding in Bertucci. Thompson. In the middle, Gooch. Haven't heard much from her lately, but comes up with a huge point here late in the second set.
And Gooch read the fact that Bertucci cheated in towards the middle on that read and decided to go right as far as she could to the line.
5 kills on 5 attacks for CC Gooch. Efficient. The sophomore. Here's Fisher. Thompson answers for the Tide.
And Alabama's playing high ball in that set. Thompson had so much time, which also gives the Georgia block time to set up against her, but Thompson's still able to beat it out because of her arm strength.
This is great SEC volleyball today. Back and forth, 27 ties. Here's Rapetti serving for the Tide. Sophie Fisher off Rapetti. Brower charging in for the point. Love it.
Clara Brower is flicking this ball out of the gym. She can be almost towards the service line and give Sophie Fisher a perfect set. This setter is on fire, finally using Lovett from the back row, giving her that big, which means it's a back row attack, but set a lot lower, forcing Lovett to speed up that approach.
And a timeout here at Foster Auditorium in a 1-point set. Well, Thursday night, it's SEC soccer rivalry night. The Crimson Tide take on number 16 Auburn at 7 Eastern, 6 Central. And then it's number 22 Texas taking on Oklahoma, otherwise known as the Red River Showdown, both right here on the SEC Network and the ESPN app. Fans enjoying it here at Foster Auditorium. Their team down by 1, 23-22. Georgia took the opening set 25-20 23. The offense is certainly picked up here in the second set. And the blocks, Alabama dominating in blocks early. That's evened out a little bit there. Who has the advantage right now, Shelby?
That's Alex. You can't put me on the spot when you have this
Yes,
many
I have
times
to.
in a match. Honestly, I really don't know. I think it's going to come down to who gets the second set. It's who in that moment has the momentum. Is anybody going to go on a 2-point run? Right now, it's just back and forth. And what I'm really liking about the blocks is that it's taking a lot to make the ball drop. Right now, the defenders are really covering their hitters. Sophie Agee, Chase Campbell, everybody in the gym is getting different options on swings because their back row players are doing a good job at making sure they get a dig up and keep that ball going.
Again, Georgia has beaten Alabama 6 straight times in this rivalry, winning 11 out of the last 12 meetings. Getting ready to serve for Tom Black and the Bulldogs. And a Julia Bleeker, redshirt sophomore out of Florida. Thompson, off hands. Oh, and the dump by Brower. Excellent. Set point on the way for the Bulldogs.
I've been waiting for this dump from Brower. She is doing everything right, and the only thing that can get better is her offense threat. Nice job of making that really deceptive play. I definitely did not think that ball was going over the net.
Nobody in the building was expecting that, and that means it's set point for her squad. Bleeker. And the Tide stay alive here. Set point number 2 now for the Bulldogs. Serving for Alabama will be Paris Thompson. And a timeout called by Tom Black.
Good call, good time by Tom Black. He's trying to classic move of ice the server. And that just means that when you get a call timeout and it's about to be your ball to serve, you got to make sure that ball is over and in. Tom Black is trying to play mind games on the Alabama server right now.
Plenty of SEC action on the way on the ESPN family of networks. Told you about Texas and Kentucky on ESPN next Sunday. Also, same day, different network. This Georgia squad taking on Ole Miss, 1 p.m. Eastern, right here on the SEC Network. And then it's number 24, Auburn, against Mississippi State. Following the conclusion of that one, as we are deep in the heart of conference play. Again, Georgia and Alabama, both in search of SEC victory number 1 on the season. Rashinda Reed having a talk with her squad right now. They do have an impressive overall record on the year, 8-5. They played a ranked Tennessee squad close. They're trying to turn the corner here. This one lost the opening set by 2 points, down by 1 point here in set number 2. But Alabama will be serving. Paris Thompson, the transfer from Notre Dame, trying to keep this set alive for the Crimson Tide. Love it at the last moment. Took something off of it. There's Agee, and it's in. Surprise, surprise. We're tied again.
Statement kill from Agee, rising to the pressure and going for that deep corner. Again, seeing how pulled in Georgia's defense is and making the easy decision to try and go as deep as possible.
Remember, you have to win this set by 2. Thompson serving again. From the back row, Sophie Fisher, set point for the Bulldogs.
Hardest back row attack from Sophie Fisher yet. The deeper the set goes, the harder the hitters start hitting. Great aggressive swing.
She's up to double-digit kills. First player to do that today with 10. Serving for the set, Bailey Cox. Towns calling for it. Moneke directing traffic. There is AG, and it's in. Once again, she saves the set. The transfer.
Interesting decision from Georgia setter Clara Brower to try and give Alabama a quick ball when she was that far off, and that really ended up being a free ball for Crimson Tide.
29 ties through the first 2 sets. Towns serving. And that is an ace for the Crimson Tide. And Tom Black once again will reach for the green challenge card. He's been right so far today. We'll see if the third time's a charm.
Original call was ball was in. Georgia is challenging that it was out.
And even if Tom Black does not get the challenge, this is a free timeout. Try and slow the set down right now. Get inside Alabama's head if they are going to get the ball and get the serve. That is a great call. I do think it's out, though.
That does look out.
That's a great decision to grab that challenge card. I don't even know if he could even see it from his... He's right by it. I don't know if he could even see. Again, if he can, that's a great sight by him. But regardless, it's close enough where you grab that green card, especially this deep in a set.
Tom Black has won both of his previous challenges today, and it looks like he may be 3 for 3.
This look
After review, the ball is determined to be out. So the point is to Georgia. Georgia will retain its challenge.
He's still perfect, 3 for 3 on challenges.
All right, we need to see a stat sheet of Tom Black compared to all the other SEC coaches when it comes to pulling the green card.
Played the lottery today, can't miss. And that, needless to say, that is a massive point. Instead of set point Alabama on the way, it is set point Georgia yet again.
Oh, but the game face doesn't drop, though, from Tom Black. You would think he lost the challenge. He's not going to change. That was a great call. And Bailey Cox trying to make sure she is right there to see it out. And for Alabama, that's a really good serve. It's hard to make it out, but that is a great try. That's what you call a good miss.
Here's the senior Clara Brower, more than 100 aces during her career. Campbell in the middle. Tied at 26.
One of Chase Campbell's many strengths is reading the wing defense, and she sees when Georgia pulls in towards the middle, and she will literally throw that ball and punish them and show, hey, you're not in your base.
Kayla Keyshock, the transfer from Samford. Oh my gosh, Brower, great effort. Couldn't save it, however, a key ace for the Tide.
And what a time for Keyshock to get an ace after Alabama was called out with their serve earlier. Relentless set right here.
Set point for Alabama, trying to tie it up at 1 set apiece. Brower, love it. Again, they go to the transfer, love it, and she misses. And we are all knotted up at 1 set apiece. An epic second set goes in favor of the Crimson Tide.
It does not get any better than what we are seeing right now. Georgia and Alabama going to punch for punch from serving, defense, hitting, the setters getting in on the offense. This is so great right now.
That was a 3-0 run by Alabama to end the second set and even things up at 1 set apiece. We'll talk to Rashinda Reed in just a moment, head coach of the Crimson Tide. And after that epic back and forth affair, leading the way for the Crimson Tide, Sophie Agee with 8 kills. Now joining us, Rashinda Reed, coach. What did you make of the end of that set and this match in general, just gone back and forth through the first 2 sets?
It's just going to show that we are a very relentless team, and we're a team that does not give up.
Coach, 30 tie changes in the first 2 sets. How is your team being so relentless when it comes to offense?
We just practice that. We are relentless in our own gym, and so we practice pressure situations, and I feel like they're doing a good job. They're showing everyone out there today.
All right, appreciate it, coach.
Thank you.
What a match we got going on here in Tuscaloosa, all knotted up at 1 set apiece between the Tide and the Dogs. Back at Foster Auditorium, this is an intense match so far. Has a postseason vibe to it between these two SEC rivals. All knotted up at 1 set apiece, and taking the opening point here in set number 3. Alabama wasting no time. Campbell with the point for the Crimson Tide. We talked about the injury storyline coming in for Georgia. They were missing 5 players over the last 2 matches. Only had 2 or 3 players playing their normal positions. They did tell us beforehand they had their team leader in kills, Biana Moneke, back for this one. She's barely played, doesn't look completely healthy. So it certainly is a shorthanded team as Georgia answers with the point.
And for Moneke, Tom Black also said today, remember that she hadn't taken a swing till last night. It was a game time decision if she was good to go. So she's still a little rusty.
Fisher with the serve. Bertucci falling to the floor to save it. Free ball. Haugen, the Bama block, showed up. Reaching for it with one hand, but unable to keep it alive was Lindsey Brown.
And Kiefer reached back for that ball. You're supposed to let the back row, the middle back, get that ball for you, but it's really hard to trust that they're there and not react.
Off the Fisher serve. In the middle, Campbell active here in the third.
Chase Campbell is the X factor for Alabama today. She needs to keep getting that ball, but that means Alabama needs to give good passes and good serve receive to get this middle going. Right now, she's tipping, she's rolling, she's having huge hits.
50-year senior tied for the team lead in kills. Gooch denied. This is the Bama block we saw in the opening moments of this match. Showing up again early here in set number 3.
And the largest lead this match has only been 3 points, and that was for Georgia. So right now, no one's able to go on runs.
AG. Haugen off the block. Lovett sends it back. Fisher slow to get up for the Bulldogs. There is the Alabama block.
Georgia trying to slow the match down and get back to where they were, but Alabama is just all over the place. They're doing a good job at reading the arm swings of Georgia.
In this match, Alabama more than twice as many blocks as the Bulldogs. Lovett just taps it over. Palmer. Perfect placement in the corner for Kaylee Palmer.
Palmer and Campbell are the 1-2 punch right now, and Palmer is so successful on the right side, which can be harder for right-handed hitters because the ball's coming over their shoulder, but not her. She's going for the line. She's going cross shot. She is doing everything, including the Georgia Bulldogs block. Keep feeding her right now. She's going to get the lead. One of the largest ones for the match for her team.
The Sophies, the storyline of the day for both these squads. Sophie Fisher with 10 kills. Sophie AG with 8, tied for the team lead for Alabama, who has their largest lead of the match at 3. Paris Thompson. Campbell. And that one is in. It was a close call, but now it's a 4-point Alabama lead, which in a match like this feels like a gargantuan lead for the host squad. Brower, Haugen. And Alabama looks renewed right now. A little extra juice here coming off that win in the last set, despite the point for Georgia.
That 4-point lead Alabama built was the biggest lead of the entire match.
Yep. Feels like a new match for the Tide. Thompson, that one skipped off of the Bulldog defender Haugen. And the point for Alabama.
No wonder Paris Thompson is second on the team in kills. She can have a hard hit from any kind of set. Even when she's off, she doesn't do slow shots. She keeps going hard.
Sophie Fisher off the block and the hand of Bertucci. And the point by Georgia as they try to climb back in this one. Bailey Cox, senior libero, getting ready to serve for the Bulldogs. Pushed over by A.G. Lovett. Brower. Moneke, that's the Biana Moneke we're used to seeing when she's healthy.
That's the swing Moneke brings to Tom Black's team. Her arm swing goes so fast and hits so hard. If your block is not closed, she's going to fully expose that split.
I mean, they're an entirely different team when she's completely healthy and playing full time. Towns taps it over. Pancake. No, point by Alabama. Back to a 3-point lead for the Crimson Tide. Natalie Rapetti serving. A senior out of California. One of 10 new faces on the Alabama team this year. Moneke reaching in, Rapetti with one hand. Pushed over by Thompson. Punched up in the air by Moneke. In the middle, Towns off of Lovett. Too strong.
Alabama is hitting 750 right now. Georgia really cannot get these balls up. Alabama's continuously going off the hands and going for the corners.
Crimson Tide taken over in this set. And Moneke trying to answer now. We talked about her being extremely limited due to the knee injury. But a couple of points here in set number 3. Two of her 4 kills on the day. She gets a breather. Brower. A service error number 9 for the Bulldogs.
And even though it's only 4 points in a match like this, like you said, that lead for Alabama feels suffocating for Georgia, and that's when those missed serves sting even worse.
Well, we've had nearly 30 ties today, so 4-point lead, 32 to be exact, absolutely huge. Serving for Alabama, the freshman Lindsey Brown. Fisher. Georgia needed that. 12 kills now for the SEC Player of the Year.
Perfect set ball from Clara Brower right in that window. Sophie Fisher wants it to be able to chase that ball down, use her footwork, cross her shoulders, and make that ball hit the floor.
Lovett serving. That is double-digit service errors on the day for Georgia.
Lovett looking clearly frustrated, and when you have the second amount of kills on the team, your team reads your body language. They really don't want you to get frustrated with yourself.
It's one thing if you're getting the aces as well, but set 10 service errors compared to just 3 aces. Here's Towns. In the middle, Fisher off the block. Setting it up for Campbell. Last second, it was Rapetti, and Georgia answers with a point.
Sophie Fisher, I don't think she was expecting that ball to drop when she puts up her hands afterwards, but hey, it worked out, and that's, again, her defending the net. It was not the hardest hit, but she still did not allow that ball to come back to her team side.
Well, A.G. and Campbell talking over that last play for Alabama. Here is A.G. Bulldogs getting in position. Fisher off the block. Haugen at the top. Georgia point. And the Bulldogs clawing their way back into this one. They have pulled within 2.
Relentless defense from CeCe Gooch. Watch her at the front. Number 8, red jersey. There's no way she's letting this ball come back on her side from Chase Campbell.
She's hitting 750. I mean, what is the explanation here for the 11 service errors now compared to just 3 aces?
I would love to know, and I'm sure Tom Black would love to know as well. Right now, Georgia looks frustrated, and that leads and bleeds into the service line. And that not only makes you miss a point, but doesn't allow you to go on runs.
Here's Kiefer. Not to be outdone. Back to a 2-point set.
Now Sophie Fisher in the back row. Watch out for Alabama to try and hit at her. Take advantage for the middle blocker playing back row rotations. Oh.
A key ace by the two-time All-American. No service error there.
And when you can ace libero Francesca Bertucci, that just shows you, I do not care. You're in the libero jersey. I'm going right for your seam.
Well, Fisher can do it all. We mentioned she had 7 in a match earlier this year against Washington. Has 2 now today. It's a 1-point set. That one hammered by Palmer. But the point by Georgia, and the Bulldogs have tied it up at 12. And a timeout called by Rashinda Reed. Well, tomorrow night, it's time for Read and React, hosted by Cole Kubelik and Roman Harper. Each week, they'll take a look back at the biggest plays, players, and games from the weekend. Tomorrow night at 7 Eastern, 6 Central, right here on the SEC Network and the ESPN app. Sound like a broken record here in Tuscaloosa, but we are tied again. Alex Loeb, Shelby Coppage with you. Shelby, what's been the difference in this one? Georgia had the narrow win in set number 1. Alabama responded in set 2 and seemed like they were pulling away in the third. Not to be outdone, the Bulldogs have come right back.
It sounds so elementary, but the biggest difference in this match with Alabama and Georgia are those small plays, the controllables. 1, making your serve. 2, serve receive. Do not pass the ball over to your opponent. Chase Campbell, middle for Alabama, getting a lot of overpasses and crushing them right now. A bird's eye view, this is an amazing match. Offense, defense, blocking. It's those little things. Whoever changes that first, in my opinion, is going to win the third set.
As far as hitting percentage is concerned, right now, Alabama had the advantage in that category heading into this third set. And you look at, we talked about the big thing for Alabama, their improvement in hitting percentage in conference play after set number 1. That trend has continued today. They hit worse than 200 in set number 1, and then look at the jump over the next 2 sets.
And hitting percentage is not only included with errors, it's a math equation that also includes digs. So Alabama was hitting a lot into Georgia's platform that first set. Again, we talk about how Alabama's hitting percentage drastically changes that second set. That's because they're trying to avoid, or doing a better job at avoiding the defense for Georgia.
Georgia trailed by 4 a moment ago, now looking for the lead. Here is Palmer. She has got some serious power.
And Rashinda Reed said that this is one of the strongest teams physically that she has coached. Palmer hits the weights, and you can really see such a change year to year in the players who take their lifts seriously.
Alabama hitting 333 today, a huge jump from their first 2 matches in SEC play, but Georgia evening things up again. Again, we're tied at 1 set apiece. Georgia winning the opening set 25-23. Alabama took the second 28-26. Paris Thompson well out of play.
Paris Thompson wailing the ball out. I don't think that was on purpose. Again, I think she was trying to go for the fingertips of Georgia. But when you're that far off the net, don't try and get the fingertips. Just try and keep the ball over and in play.
Haugen, the junior, serving. AG. And she'll end up with the point.
AG with the point from the back row. I do not think she liked being scored on from Georgia in the back. Wants the ball set to her and moves it to the corner.
Tied for a team high with 9 kills. Hitting better than 400. That one caught tape. The dump by Brower and the point by Georgia.
Georgia's offense is finding success at Alabama's run-throughs, Alabama's wings, which is the left and the right side, crossing over in front of the middle back.
Clara Brower. Tom Black said she is so overlooked for everything she's done for this program. Top 10 in Georgia history in assists. And that will be an ace the hard way for the Bulldogs.
Another net ace for Georgia, which you're going to want that, especially when you've had a few struggles when it comes to serve receive. Again, it's so hard to get these balls up because it gives you zero time to chase it.
It's crazy because they have 11 service errors and 2 net aces, like you said as well. That one is good. Palmer again delivering for Alabama.
Again, when Kaylee Palmer makes contact with the ball, you can hear the slap. That has to hurt when digging against her. That just shows you got to make sure you are stopped in base and that your platform is also stopped when the ball makes contact on your arms. Yeah, she needs some water.
Up to 9 kills with Rapetti serving. Charging in and denied was Lovett, right in the heart of the block.
Little surprise, Lovett was set from the middle. Jordan Towns, middle from Alabama, was fully camped out and just waiting for Lovett's approach.
Alabama with 8.5 blocks compared to 4 for Georgia. Brower flying in Moneke, going down low for that one. Was Bertucci, and again saving the day. The senior out of Chicago. Moneke pushes it into the block. Alabama managed to get it over. Back to Moneke. This time there's no response.
I thought this play was over at least 3 different times. Relentless defense from Alabama, but Moneke is not giving up. She wants the ball every swing to finally put it down.
Up to 5 kills, 3 in this set for the transfer from A&M. Petty. Thompson. That one backing up Haugen. And I love it.
It's hard for outsides to have their full arm swing when they're being set from behind them. That's because they can't see the ball. The ball's coming over their right shoulder. That's usually when you'll see outsides roll or tip, but love it. It's
Original
not a
call
roll
on
or
the
tip
floor
hitter.
is point to Alabama. Georgia is challenging that there was a touch.
Can Tom Black make it 4 for 4? He's been perfect so far on his challenges. He'll put that on the line here.
And this is an interesting call. I personally did not see a touch. And again, Lovett is that hitter that it's hard to miss it because, or excuse me, it's easy to miss because she hits that hard. The ball goes that fast. Let's see right here. Potentially a touch on Keyshock's fingertips, but look to see if her hand moves afterwards. It doesn't look like her fingers move in this shot right here. And if the ball touched her, usually you would see her fingers flick a little bit.
Does the ball change movement at all?
Or yeah, does the ball change movement? I don't think it does personally. Again, a very awkward set for Erica Lovett. She's not that player that wants to tip her roll. She wants to hit hard.
After review, there was a touch on the play. Georgia will get the point and retain their challenge.
What a run Tom Black is on. He is 4 for 4 in challenges right now. Again, it's such a tight match like this. That is absolutely huge.
Yeah, that really is crazy when you have 0 errors. Okay, there we see a little smile, Coach Black. It only took 4 challenges.
Waiting to announce it to the arena. And Tom Black feeling it today. And his squad looking for their first SEC victory. Same for Rashinda Reed. And keep in mind, Georgia, again, a talented Georgia team coming off back-to-back NCAA tournament appearances. Tom Black in his 8th season in charge of the Bulldogs, trying to get healthy now in the heart of conference play. While Rashinda Reed in her 3rd season trying to build something from the ground up here in Tuscaloosa.
And in moments like this, when it's taking the challenge this long, it's really hard to come back out and take the momentum or serve hard. But you got to make sure you do it.
Upon further review, there was no touch. He was looking at the different part of the rally initially. So the call will be confirmed. Point will remain with Alabama, and Georgia will lose their challenge.
Well, there you go. Just when we thought Tom Black would remain perfect, he is now 3 for 4 in challenges on the day. Call stands. Point Alabama.
And now it's on both Georgia and Alabama to come back with huge swings and keep playing like there wasn't just a huge lull in the match.
36 ties today through 2.5 sets. Here's Lindsey Brown. Love it. Towns. A.G. Fisher was there. They go back to Sophie A.G. and this time tools the block.
Strong block on Sophie A.G. and she's so confident. She really doesn't care. She's going to try and go right through it, even when Georgia is pressing. Tysa looking good in her jump, but not able to beat out A.G.
Team high 10 kills, hitting .421 for the transfer from Mississippi State. And a service error ends the mini run by the Tide.
The service errors are something you really can't ignore, especially when the sets are this close. I would imagine both these teams come tomorrow will have a few service drills in their future, Alex.
And sore arms, especially by Lovett. A lot of swings in conference play for the transfer, including today. That was elbowed over by Towns. Here's Haugen.
Right up.
Bertucci. A.G. Back to Haugen, taps it over Rapetti. Here is Haugen, and that one misses the mark.
Alabama's block forcing Haugen to hit that ball out because Alabama's defense is all over. They are getting amazing digs, and Haugen was sick of it, trying to find something new and just hitting that ball out.
On the day, Alabama out hitting Georgia as far as hitting percentage is concerned, and more than twice as many blocks. Into the block it goes, just kind of tapped in there by Fisher. A.G. with authority. I mean, she is bringing it here in the 3rd set, and now Alabama up by 2.
When I saw A.G. take that huge swing, I was shocked. I thought, why would you do that? Sophie Fisher and Tyson are right on you. But she was going for that tool. She dropped her pinky, lifted her thumb, and made that ball spin right on the outside of Tyson's hand.
Ball on the floor is point Alabama. Georgia is challenging. There was a touch on the play.
That is the 5th challenge by Tom Black and the Bulldogs. Well, if you're feeling hot, keep rolling the dice, although after the last one. But again, in a match that is so tight like this, back and forth, every one of these calls is pretty crucial. Well, for Rashinda Reed's squad, what do you like that they've done after dropping the 1st set?
Rashinda Reed's team's defense looks amazing. Their digs are all over the place, and their hitters really aren't able to stay aggressive. Like I said, they're not having to revert to rolls or tips. This is a very highly intense offensive match from both teams right now. They're really not trying to show different kinds of spots to hit. They're going for these hard swings.
Here's another look.
Okay, so with the ball, if it hits A.G.'s shoulder, which right at this look right here, I could see why Georgia thinks it did hit her shoulder. Well, let's see right here when the ball comes down. Okay. My vote is it hit her shoulder.
Yes.
Like, I've been wrong before once in my life, but I do think it hit her shoulder. This was a good call by Coach Tom Black regardless. And like we said, whether his team gets a challenge or not, slowing the match down and trying to ice Alabama if they do get the ball back.
Yeah, the original call was no touch, point Alabama. If the call stands, Alabama is up by 2, but if it's overturned.
And look at that block. Look at Sophie Fisher's body. She is nowhere near Tyson, but her arms are still closing the block. That just shows you how physical Sophie Fisher is, the length she uses, and how her her wingspan can close the late block for her.
They're just about done with the review.
Upon further review, there was a touch off of the attacker. Point will go to Georgia. Georgia retains their challenge.
Well, Tom Black is at 80% right now, 4 of 5 in the challenge category.
And again, each coach is given 2 challenges, and if they win their challenge, they are able to keep them. So essentially, if you're correct, just infinite challenges when applied to the rules.
We'll talk about some of the team leaders in kills. Fisher 14, Haugen with 8 kills, Tom Black with 4 points as well that he has won for his squad on challenges. And now instead of a 2-point deficit late in the third, we're tied again. Here is Moneke. Again, catching tape. It's been a reoccurring theme on serves for the Bulldogs. Campbell in the middle, no. AG doesn't have an answer. The Georgia block stepping up, and they grab the narrow lead.
We talk about how Alabama doesn't want to revert to rolls or tips, and AG going again with that hard swing. When you're up against Sophie Fisher, that's the player that you want to roll over or tip over, especially when she is on fire when it comes to her blocking.
A timeout here in the third set. Taking a look around the country. How about the start? Pitt is off to this year 13-0. They haven't dropped a set this season for Dan Fisher's squad. Wisconsin taking down Washington, and Nebraska sweeping Iowa. But Pitt, the story of the year right now nationally.
The fact that Pitt hasn't dropped a set is incredible. And Dan Fisher's team is stacked with players. And what I love about Pitt is a lot of his underclassmen have really stepped up to take huge roles.
Olivia Babcock, just a huge presence for that squad. As for the defending back-to-back national champions, Texas will take on Kentucky next Sunday on ESPN. But again, so many upsets, especially the non-conference portion of the schedule. So many upsets around the country. A lot of parity. That's the theme of this year.
And you never know who's going to win. In the sweep, even it surprises you because they could be so close in each set. And what I love about this Georgia-Alabama match is, even in the red zone, it feels like the match just started. That doesn't mean that it's not intense. That means it's intense from the first serve. Even when it's 1-1, it feels like both teams are in the red zone this entire time.
Absolutely, from the jump, it's been a tight contest. Georgia has the narrow advantage here with Moneke serving. Campbell in the middle, reaching for it with one hand, love it, but Alabama ties it up.
Confusion with Moneke and Fisher, but again, those are both middles trying to get that second ball. For anybody else, you better expect that ball up, but again, 2 middle blockers aren't there to play defense. That's going to happen.
Nobody can go on a run as of late, just back and forth. Keyshak. That one swiped out immediately by Gooch.
Gooch, I thought was going to go with her right shoulder. Makes the last second decision to go towards her left. Great shot in eye vision to see the blockers right in front of her.
Fisher serving. A couple of aces in the contest for the senior. There is Sophie Fisher. That one out of play. And it looks like, well, Georgia players saying it was touched. And the officials agree. Will we have a challenge from Rashinda Reed? Yes. Let's see if she has been as fortunate as Tom Black has been.
Original call on the floor is touch. Alabama is challenging that there was no touch.
And that is potentially the last challenge for Alabama, pending the results of the review. If they win it, they get to keep it. A tense look on the faces of players, coaches, everybody. What an atmosphere here at Foster Auditorium. Another look. There is Sophie Fisher with the attack. Sophie Agie's left hand close to the ball, but did it touch the ball?
I don't think, again, it's just my opinion, that Sophie Agie touched.
After review, there was no touch, so Alabama will get the point and retain their challenge.
There you go. He beat you to the punch.
Oh, I wasn't going to say that. I was actually going to say what he just said.
Right,
so thank you for forecasting what I was going to say, Alex.
Rashinda Reed saves her lone remaining challenge by winning that call. Much to the frustration of Tom Black. Tied at 21. Is that his fair share of calls go his way? Not the case there. Agie serving. Charging in Fisher, and she earns the point.
Fisher looking for revenge in this approach, and there is 6 hands right in front of her. The triple block fully connected. She does not care. She even touches the hands and still makes it happen.
15 kills for Fisher, 4 blocks, 4 digs. Thompson. Here is Lovett on the attack, and now Georgia up late in the third by 2.
And Lovett saw the right back was wide open. She knew if she could just touch the blocker's hands, no one would chase that second touchdown.
Estelle Haugen, the junior. Here is Palmer with that power, but Georgia was ready, and set point on the way for the Bulldogs. Trying to take a 2-1 advantage. Going on a run with Haugen serving. Thompson off the block. And Alabama stays alive here in the third.
Thompson using the hands of Georgia in her favor, seeing that just a few inches, the hand is off the net.
Set point number 2 for Georgia, with Bertucci serving for Alabama. Here's Lovett. And the point goes to Georgia. A close call, but the Bulldogs take the third, 25-22, and they take a 2-1 advantage here in Tuscaloosa.
It's all Erica Lovett for Georgia, and these last 2 points. From her blocking to her hitting, she shows you how much time she has to hang in the air and make a decision. She is going to be the X factor in this 4th set for Georgia.
If we weren't proud of the craftsmen.
Georgia taking the 2-1 lead, but they've all been nail biters. Bulldogs winning the first by 2, dropping the second by 2, taking this last one by 3. Taking a look around the SEC. Busy day in the conference. 4 SEC teams ranked, including they pulled off a sweep earlier today. 3 SEC teams undefeated in conference play. The Longhorns the Tigers of Auburn and Arkansas as well. And 2 of the 3 conference teams that are seeking their first win in SEC play, we are watching right now Georgia and Alabama, and the Bulldogs 1 set away from picking up that elusive first conference victory. This is a series they have dominated as of late. The Bulldogs winning 11 of the last 12 meetings, including 6 in a row. Well, what does Alabama have to do to get back in this one? They led by 4, which again, in a match like this, seemed like a huge lead. Couldn't hold on to that lead, and now they're up against it.
Alabama's hitting is doing really well when going for deep corners. And again, when Sophie Fisher's up at the front, do not hit anywhere near her hands. Just go over her.
Set number 4 underway with Natalie Rapetti serving. Here's Paris Thompson right into CC Gooch. And the point for Georgia.
CC Gooch a little late to the block, but she was able to make sure her arms were still tracking the ball and got that block for her team.
She has had a nice match. 7 kills on 8 attacks, hitting .750 with 3 blocks. And Georgia has the opening point of the 4th. Haugen. Tapped over, pancake by Sophie Fisher. What doesn't she do? And the point by Alabama, however.
If I'm Sophie Fisher, I'm trying my best not to be frustrated. Getting a pancake, then the ball being wailed out. Again, a 6'5" middle blocker playing 6 rotations and getting a pancake? I don't know. What is she going to do next? Jump serve with her left hand and get an ace?
She's got the pancake. 2 aces, 5 blocks, 5 digs, and a team high 15 kills. Just saving that. Brower heading towards the scorer's table and unable to keep it in play. An ace for the Tide.
Good effort, though, from Clara Brower trying to chase that ball down.
From Ohio.
And Sophie Fisher reading Palmer's arms and not closing the block, trying to take away individually that cross shot from her.
Sophie AG serving 16 kills and 7 digs. Love it. Here's Haugen. Diving for that one was Bertucci. Into the block goes Thompson, denied.
Statement block with Sophie Fisher and Tyson at the net. Their inside arms connecting, pressing with their hands. Textbook play.
Tied again. Diana Moneke. Crucial service error. I mean, that's been the story of the day so far for Georgia. One of the storylines. 14 service errors. Francesca Bertucci. There is Lovett. Now that one was out of play, but Georgia pleading with Tom Black to offer up the green card, and he does a challenge. Tom Black has been successful on 4 out of 5 challenges.
Call on the floor is point Alabama. Georgia is challenging. There was a touch.
And Rashinda Reed and the rest of her team seemed very confident. There was absolutely 0 touch. Don't think there was a touch on the fingertips right there. It doesn't look like Towns clipped it at all.
Oh, what about on the back row?
Hold on, let's see this again.
That is AG back there. Did it skim her right forearm?
That's going to be a hard call. And remember, in order for this point to be overturned, there has to be overwhelming video evidence. With this view right here, it doesn't look overwhelming that there was a touch.
The ball does appear to move a little bit, possibly. And it looks like they're ready. Tom Black 4 for 5 so far.
After review, there was a touch off Alabama. Georgia will get the point and retain their challenge.
He's right again. And more importantly, in the fifth set, that is a huge point for Georgia. Each team starts over with 2 challenges in the fifth set. Instead of a 2-point deficit for Tom Black, we're tied.
And now Sophie Fisher in the back. Expect those bigs, and also for Alabama to hit at her.
46 ties today. Pushed over by Fisher. Pancake by Bertucci. No. Point Bulldogs.
Nice spot by Fisher. Not only is this coming from the back row, but Clara Brower puts her on the right side. Sophie Fisher is not going through the middle. She is going on an open net on the right.
First to 15. Ends up with SEC victory number 1. Got to win by 2. Service error number 15, however, for Georgia.
And when you're Sophie Fisher and you make an error, it must be so hard to not get frustrated because you are the leader, your whole team, your coach is looking at you. There's a lot of pressure on this player.
Natalie Rapetti. Brower on the attack, love it. Paris Thompson was ready. That one sent home. And getting the point was Kayla Keyshock for the Crimson Tide, up by 1.
That overpass from Georgia is what is going to separate these two teams and decide who is going to get the win. Got to make sure that ball stays on your side. Get your hitters a chance.
Will we get another tie? No, Alabama up by 2.
Alabama up by 2, but it feels like they are up by a lot more. The momentum is completely on the Crimson's Tide side.
Ever since Georgia won that third set to go up 2-1, it feels like it's been all Alabama. That one may have been going out. Haugen saved it. Bertucci with the dig. Thompson with the left hand. Here comes Sophie Fisher with the point.
Sophie Fisher has such length and reach that she is coming down on the ball. She is literally in the air looking down the court on Alabama's side, making it so hard for the Crimson Tide to get any dig up.
Timeout by Alabama. 21 kills for the 2-time All-American on 45 swings.
Original call is point Georgia. Alabama is challenging. There was a back row attack.
There we go, another challenge.
And for both teams right now, use this as time to slow the momentum down and use it as a timeout. Right now, Alabama's bench bringing the energy. I like to see it. Now let's see Sophie Fisher swing.
After review, the call is confirmed. Point remains with Georgia. Alabama loses this challenge.
Now Rashinda Reed will still have 1 challenge left here in this 5th set.
And Rashinda Reed said moments like this is what we train for in practice. We are not worried about the pressure that the 5th set brings. Again, we saw Alabama's hitting percentage go way up after the first set. They've done a good job at making adjustments, getting big swings, and Sophie Fisher for Georgia on your screen has had such a has carried such a huge load for the Bulldogs.
There is Haugen in the middle. Towns at it again. The sophomore up to 9 kills.
Running through the middle is what you can do when you give your setter a 3-option pass. Jordan Towns following the serve receive and getting an offense.
Thompson. Comes Sophie Fisher. Sophie Agee with the response. Alabama arguing that it touched hands. And they are correct. Point tied, up by 3. And they will switch sides here at Foster Auditorium again for the last set and a half now. It feels like it's been all Alabama.
And in the 5th set, volleyball players do mini games in their mind. Who's the first to 3 to 5? Okay, 8, that's huge. If you're the team that causes both teams to switch sides, that is so encouraging when it comes to that mental game. You want to be the first to 12, then obviously 15's right after that.
Georgia looking to make it 12 wins in their last 13 meetings against Alabama, but right now the Tide have the advantage. And they won the last set 25-18, up by 3 here in this set. Alabama hitting 571. And numbers aren't everything, but you look across the board and Alabama leading in almost every single category. Hitting percentage, blocks, digs, hitting percentage in this set. I mean, they have really taken over. The service errors obviously in favor of Georgia and not in a good way.
15 service errors for Georgia. And again, we talked about the adversity the Bulldogs are going through when it comes to injuries. Tom Black has said the reason his team has been able to stay calm is because he's trying to stay calm. His players are looking to him in these high-pressure situations, and that carries over to them. Tom Black said, I'm trying to be confident, stay calm, show them how I respond. And unfortunately, his team has had many injuries. Sophie Fisher on your screen potentially have a lot of her body right now as well.
Sophie Fisher is just 1 kill shy of matching her career high. She currently has 21. She has put this team on her shoulders at times in this match and throughout the season. But they're in a hole right now, down 3 in the final set.
21 kills for Fisher and 8 blocks. Oh, and a pancake.
Pancake.
I'm not sure how many middles today in college volleyball got a pancake.
And not at 100% either. But regardless, play resumes with Paris Thompson serving for Alabama, up 3. Here is Lovett skying for that one. That caught Thompson up high. A couple of Bulldogs converge. Lovett denied. Keyshot and Towns were there.
This block from Keyshot could not have been any better. And that hit came off of one hand, but it went back into the court because both hands were facing the left, avoiding any way of getting tooled by Erica Lovett.
15.5 blocks for Alabama. Inching closer to their first SEC victory. Here is Agee. A little too much on it.
You have to be careful when calling a challenge if it's out when it's by the line judge, because all that line judge has to do is move over and physically show you that ball was out.
And some of the Alabama players looked over at Rashinda Reed wondering if she would challenge it. Has 1 left in this set. She shook them off. They're still up by 3. Cox serving for Georgia. Back to Agee. Here is Moneke trying to go on a late run. Falling to the floor, Rapetti. Agee on the attack. That one nearly hit the ceiling. Rapetti, Keyshot. Diving for it was Cox. Joust, point Alabama. 5 away.
Back-to-back blocks for the Alabama setter, Kayla Keyshot, doing every part possible she can offensively, getting to her hitters, and defensively acting as a blocker.
We said this was a deep team for Alabama, going up against a shorthanded Georgia squad, and that depth coming up big. Keyshot Palmer, Agee, Towns, all having big performances today for the Crimson Tide.
And the defensive effort has been all over from both Georgia and Alabama, getting incredible balls up. But this block from Keyshawn, look how she swiped the ball to her left. You would think she's a blocker with her fundamentals. She's not blocking straight in front of her. She is blocking to the middle of the court. That's what avoids blockers from getting tooled. Great IQ.
15.5 blocks for Alabama, 11 for Georgia. That defense picking up over the last 2.5 sets now. Rashinda Reed pleading with her team to tough it out here in the stretch, 5 points away from their first conference victory. And their first win against Georgia here in Tuscaloosa in 9 years. And by the way, now for Alabama, you have Towns, Palmer, and Campbell all with career afternoons. Again, for the Crimson Tide, big-time performances. There is Jordan Towns. 10 kills and 6 blocks. But a service error, 3-point set.
And again, Alabama having the momentum. When you're in the 5th set, 1 point can feel like a run of its own, especially when you have a service error.
Clara Brower with the serve for Georgia, down 3. Fisher was right there for the block. Here she is on the attack. What a performance. Lindsey Brown digging that one out. Love it. Bobbled around, tapped over by Campbell. Cox collided with Brower. Campbell sends one home. 11-7. And gets some hugs from her teammates.
Chase Campbell again, but it started with that up from Lindsey Brown. The Alabama defense is what's giving offense to their team. Right now, everything is going perfectly.
Alabama hitting 312 in this set. Georgia 143. Fisher pushes it over. Pancake by Bertucci. Swatted down by Agee. And Alabama can feel it. They're almost there.
Bertucci absolutely deserves the hugs after not just a pancake, but up towards target.
Crimson Tide with all the momentum right now. A little help from the tape as well. Love it. Brown has been so good on the back row. 13-7 Alabama.
What a swing from the Mississippi State transfer, Sophie Agee, again going for Georgia's back line, making it impossible for the Wings to cut the ball off before it drops.
Love it, just keeping it in play. Palmer didn't have full control of that one.
Love it, probably saying a quick prayer of thanks, giving Alabama what I thought was going to be an automatic point. Palmer just with the fluke. The only fluke we've seen Palmer with this entire match.
She has had a great afternoon. And timeout is called by Alabama. This is just how the match started, just intense, crowd into it, back and forth. Again, Alabama 2 points away from beating Georgia here in Tuscaloosa for the first time in 9 years. Impact players for the Crimson Tide. The transfer, Sophie Agee from Mississippi State, 19 kills. Kaylee Palmer, a career high, 13 kills. Chase Campbell having a career day with 9 blocks and 13 kills as well.
Outside Sophie Agee doing Sophie Agee things, this is what's expected. But to me, the X factors of this match are Kaylee Palmer and middle Chase Campbell. These two are relentless, and they are bringing fire to their team, which in my opinion has brought Alabama to the 5th set.
What does Georgia have to do here to stem the tide and get back in it?
No overpasses. Multiple times this fifth set, the Bulldogs have given Alabama overpasses. And again, we talked about how different Georgia players are playing new roles, new positions.
Georgia led it 2-1. They fought back from a decent deficit. That third set seemed like they were going to take over. Since then, it has been all Alabama. Again, first to 15. Have to win by 2. Takes this SEC battle. Erica Lovett serving for Georgia. Here is Chase Campbell. Alabama 1 point away. AG for the match. Sophie Fisher. Here's Paris Thompson reaching for that one. Haugen. Palmer, no. Georgia not finished just yet.
Much needed block from Fisher and Haugen, connecting with their arms, ignoring the pressure that's on them, and extending the fifth set a little longer.
Match point number 2 for Alabama. Chase Campbell. A little too much on it. Georgia hanging around. Rashinda Reed telling her team to remain calm. Diana Moneke serving. Another match point, meanwhile, for Alabama. That one off the tape. Oh! A miscue for Alabama. Georgia now within 3, and a timeout called by Rashinda Reed.
That miscommunication play from Alabama is what happens when you try and do too much. This is where trust comes into play for your team. You got to know that you are trusting each other to do their role. And in this play right here, this is where Francesca Bertucci, Alabama's libero, has to call everyone off, which I think she did. But it's always the libero's second ball, and she's not a player to back down.
You can see it went off the net. It threw off the timing. Agee was there. Bertucci ran in there. So they will get a chance to collect their breath. Still have a 3-point lead. Another match point on the way for Rashinda Reed's squad. She's looking to pick up the 30th victory of her career as head coach at Alabama. Pick up SEC victory number 1. And for Tom Black, meanwhile, his team just hanging around barely, trying to see if they can get back in this at the latest possible moment here in Tuscaloosa. 3-0 Georgia run. So the timeout is over. Alabama players back on the floor.
And Moneke up to serve for Georgia. Again, a middle blocker. So look out for Alabama to try and get her on the ground defensively and hit at her.
Match point again for Alabama. Sophie Fisher, Diana Moneke. Moneke serving for Georgia. Paris Thompson. Brower. Fisher. Here comes Palmer. And there's your match. Although a fitting end, as Tom Black will challenge the potential final play. Why not?
Original call on the floor is point Alabama. Georgia is challenging that the ball was out.
I will say this, he has been right 5 out of 6 times on challenges. Here's a look. Doesn't look to be right there. Looks like the call will stand.
This challenge might be of a more why not situation. Yes. I mean, this ball is right in. It's on the line judge's feet. She has a perfect view. And that spot couldn't be more perfect in my opinion.
Here we go.
After review, the call is confirmed. It is point match Alabama.
So there it is. We have heard the announcement. Darren Clark still has to announce it to the arena. And there's the reaction. Celebrations all around. Alabama picks up their first win in SEC play. They beat Georgia in Tuscaloosa for the first time since 2015. And they rally back from a 2-1 deficit to pull off the victory.